The celebration lights of Seoul shone bright against the night sky. It was the 60th anniversary of Earth joining the Galactic Council, and every city on the planet was celebrating. People danced in the streets. Children waved flags showing Earth and the 12 alien species that had welcomed humanity into the stars. Everyone smiled. Everyone believed they were safe. Admiral Tae Sung-ho did not attend the celebrations. He stood alone in his office at the United Earth's military command, watching the fireworks through his window. He was 63 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. His job was to protect Earth from threats. For 60 years, there had been no threats. The galaxy was peaceful. The council species were friends, or so everyone believed. 3 floors below the Admiral's office, Dr. Una Park sat in front of her computer screen. She was 34 years old, a quiet woman who had spent her entire adult life studying alien languages. Her job was simple. She translated old diplomatic messages and stored them in the archives. It was boring work. Nobody cared about 60-year-old transmissions. But tonight, Una had found something strange. She had discovered an encrypted channel hidden inside the normal diplomatic communications. It was alien encryption, but not any kind she had seen before. It took her 3 hours to break it. When she finally read the messages inside, her hands began to shake. She read the messages again. Then again, her coffee grew cold on her desk. The celebration sounds from outside seemed to fade away. She felt like she was drowning. The messages were between the 12 council species. They were discussing humanity. But they were not discussing trade agreements or cultural exchanges. They were discussing extinction. Una read words that burned into her mind. Words like population reduction protocol and sterilization timeline and controlled decline. She read about atmospheric processors that the Council had gifted to human colony worlds. These machines were supposed to make the air better for humans. Instead, they were slowly releasing chemicals that made humans unable to have children. Read about the medicine that Council doctors had given to human colonies. During the fever outbreak of 2198, the medicine had saved thousands of lives. But it had also changed human DNA in ways that would only appear in the next generation. Children born after the outbreak had weaker immune systems. They died younger. They had fewer children of their own. She read the timeline. The Council had calculated that in 120 years from first contact, the human population would fall below sustainable levels. In 150 years, humanity would be functionally extinct, and no one would ever know they had been murdered. The last message Una read was the worst. It was from the Council's inner chamber, sent just 2 years after first contact. It said, "The humans are more dangerous than we anticipated. Their rate of technological advancement is unprecedented. Their aggression is barely contained. If we allow them to grow, they will eventually dominate the galaxy. The sterilization protocol is approved. Let them believe they are our friends. Let them die smiling." Una sat in silence for a long time. Outside, the fireworks continued. People were cheering. They were celebrating 60 years of friendship with species that were slowly killing them. She picked up her phone and called Admiral Tae. The Admiral arrived in Una's office at 2 in the morning. General Kong Dae-won came with him. Kong was the head of Earth's military intelligence, a serious man who rarely showed emotion. But as Una showed them what she had found, his face grew pale. They spent 4 hours reviewing the evidence. They checked and rechecked the encryption. They verified the transmission sources. There was no mistake. The messages were real. When they finished, Admiral Tae walked to the window. The celebrations had ended. The streets were quiet. Somewhere out there, 8 billion humans were sleeping peacefully, not knowing that they were already dying. "How long do we have?" the Admiral asked. Una's voice was barely a whisper. "Based on the current birth rates and the effects of the sterilization agents, maybe 50 years. After that, there won't be enough humans left to maintain our civilization." General Kang slammed his fist against the desk. 60 years. We trusted them for 60 years. We sent them our art, our music. We invited them to our homes, and they were poisoning us the entire time. Admiral Tay did not move. He stared out at the dark city. When he spoke, his voice was calm. To calm, they made a mistake, he said. Kong looked at him. What mistake? They gave us 60 years. The Admiral turned around. His eyes were cold now. Cold and hard like steel. 60 years to build ships. 60 years to train soldiers. 60 years to study their weaknesses. They wanted to kill us slowly so we would never fight back, but they waited too long. Una felt a chill run down her spine. She had never seen the Admiral look like this before. He looked like a man who had just decided something terrible. What are you going to do? She asked. Admiral Tay sat down across from her. His hands were folded on the desk. He looked like a man about to sign a death warrant for an entire galaxy. I am going to save humanity, he said, and I am going to make sure that no species ever tries to destroy us again. General Kong leaned forward. How they control every major trade route. They have 10 times our military strength. If we attack them openly, they will crush us. The Admiral smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. They think we are sheep, he said. They think we are weak and trusting and easy to kill. They have never seen what humans do when we are cornered. They have never seen what we become when someone threatens our children. He stood up and walked to the door. General Kong, I want a complete analysis of every piece of alien technology on Earth. Every ship, every medical device, every gift they ever gave us. I want to know exactly how they plan to kill us, and then... Kong asked. Admiral Tay opened the door. The first light of dawn was beginning to show through the windows. A new day was starting. The last day of humanity's innocence. And then, the Admiral said, we are going to teach the galaxy why they should have left us alone. He walked out into the corridor. Behind him, Unipark stared at the decoded messages on her screen. The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. She cried not for herself, but for the universe that had just made the worst mistake in its history. It had made humanity angry. 6 months passed after the terrible discovery. On the surface, nothing changed. Earth continued to trade with the Council species. Human diplomats attended meetings and smiled at their alien colleagues. The anniversary celebrations were followed by cultural festivals and scientific exchanges. Everyone in the galaxy believed that humanity remained happy and obedient. They were wrong. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that appeared on no map, Admiral Tay Seung-ho stood before a wall of screens. Each screen showed a different part of Earth's secret preparation. Shipyards hidden inside asteroids. Training camps buried under mountains. Weapons factories disguised as mining operations. In 6 months, humanity had begun building the largest military force in its history. And not a single alien knew Minister Yoon Ji-hai was the key to their deception. She was Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, a small woman with a warm smile and gentle voice. The aliens loved her. They thought she was harmless. They did not know that every night she sent encrypted reports to Admiral Tay. They did not know that every piece of information she gathered was being used to plan their destruction. Today, Minister Yoon was attending a council meeting about trade routes. She laughed at alien jokes. She complimented their clothing. She pretended to be grateful for their friendship. Inside, she was counting down the days until she could stop pretending. On Earth, Congeneer Juan Sumen made a discovery that changed everything. Juan was a 40-year-old man who had spent his life studying alien technology. He had always admired the advanced machines that the Council had given to humanity. But now, knowing the truth, he looked at them differently. He took apart a standard alien communication device. Inside, he found a hidden chip. The chip was recording every conversation and sending it to the Council. He checked another device, same chip. He checked a medical scanner, same chip. Every single piece of alien technology on Earth was spying on humanity. But that was not the worst part. Juan found kill switches, hidden programs that could shut down every alien device on Earth with a single command. The ships that the Council had sold to humanity, the power generators, the medical equipment, all of it could be turned off in an instant. If humanity ever tried to fight back, The Council could disable their entire civilization with one signal. Admiral Tay received this news in silence. Then he gave an order that would define the next 2 years. "Build everything from scratch," he said. "Every ship, every weapon, every piece of equipment. Use only human technology. Nothing alien. Nothing they can control." It seemed impossible. Human technology was decades behind the Council species. But Admiral Tay did not want advanced technology. He wanted technology that worked. Technology that the enemy could not shut down. Technology that humans could repair with their own hands. In hidden shipyards across the solar system, engineers began building a new fleet. The ships were not elegant like alien vessels. They were ugly and brutal. They were covered in thick armor and bristling with weapons. They had no alien components. Every bolt, every wire, every engine part was made by human hands. Lieutenant Nari Cho was assigned a special mission. She was 26 years old, brilliant and fierce. Admiral Tay gave her a simple task: find every weakness of every Council species. Nari studied for months. She learned that the Velthan species could not see in red light. She learned that the Morthok had weak respiratory systems that failed in high-oxygen environments. She learned that the Kristen were vulnerable to specific sound frequencies. She learned that every species had evolved on different worlds with different conditions, and humans, who had evolved on one of the harshest habitable planets in the galaxy, could survive in almost all of them. She compiled her findings into a database. She called it the Weakness Index. It contained information on how to defeat every species in the Galactic Council. Meanwhile, Commander Wu Seok was building something special in the asteroid belt. Wu was a quiet man who rarely spoke. But when he did speak, people listened. He had commanded black operations for 20 years. Now he commanded Earth's secret fleet. The fleet was hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids. From the outside, they looked like ordinary rocks floating in space. Inside, they contained over 10,000 warships. Each ship was crewed by volunteers who knew they might never see their families again. Each crew member had seen the evidence of the Council's betrayal. Each one had a personal reason to fight. Back on Earth, the hardest part of the plan was telling the population. Admiral Tay knew that 8 billion people could not keep a secret. But they had to know. They had a right to know why their children were being born sick, why their colonies were dying, why everything they trusted was a lie. The information was released slowly. First, to military families, then to government workers, then to the general public. There were no riots. There was no panic. Instead, something strange happened. Something that the Council had never predicted. Humanity became quiet. The anger was there. The rage burned in every human heart. But it was cold anger. Silent anger. The kind of anger that does not scream, but waits. The kind of anger that sharpens knives in the dark. Factories that had been making consumer goods switched to making weapons. Universities that had been studying alien culture switched to studying alien weaknesses. Young people who had been planning careers in art and music signed up for military training. Nobody complained. Nobody asked questions. Everyone understood what needed to be done. Admiral Tay watched this transformation with something close to awe. He had expected resistance. He had expected fear. Instead, he saw 8 billion people becoming a single weapon. Dr. Unipark worked every day on decoding more alien communications. She found more evidence of the betrayal. She found records of council debates about humanity. In these debates, aliens discussed humans like farmers discuss livestock. They talked about managing the human population and preventing human expansion. They congratulated themselves on how well the deception was working. One night, Yuna found a message that made her cry. It was from an alien scientist studying human culture. The scientist wrote, "The humans have created such beautiful art. It is almost sad that we must destroy them. But evolution has made them too dangerous to live." Yuna printed this message and hung it on her wall. She looked at it every morning before she started work. It reminded her why she could never stop. Why none of them could ever stop. 2 years after the discovery, Admiral Tay called a meeting of Earth's highest military commanders. They gathered in the Pacific facility, surrounded by screens showing humanity's secret strength. Ships, weapons, soldiers, everything was ready. The admiral stood before them. His hair was whiter now. His eyes were harder. He had not smiled in 2 years. "Tomorrow," he said, "we stop pretending. The fleet is ready." General Kang straightened his uniform. "Our soldiers are ready." Minister Yoon, watching through a video screen from the council headquarters, spoke softly. "I have waited 2 years to stop smiling at them. I am ready." Admiral Tay looked at each of them. These were the people who would help him save humanity. These were the people who would help him burn the galaxy if necessary. "Then let us begin," he said. "It is time to send Earth's last message." The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest building ever constructed. It floated in space at the center of the galaxy, a massive sphere made of crystal and metal. Inside, representatives from 12 species gathered to discuss the future of civilized worlds. They had done this for 10,000 years. They believed they would do it for 10,000 more. Minister Yoon Ji-hai walked into the Great Hall with her head held high. She wore her usual formal dress. She carried her usual diplomatic tablet. She smiled her usual warm smile. The alien delegates nodded at her as she passed. Some even waved. They liked the little human woman. She was so polite, so grateful. So harmless. Today was the annual State of the Galaxy address. Each species would give a short speech about their achievements and goals. Humanity always spoke last. They were the newest members. The youngest children, at the adult table, Minister Yoon took her seat and waited across the galaxy. On Earth, Admiral Tae Soon-jo stood in the broadcast center of United Earth's command. Behind him was a massive screen showing evidence of the Council's betrayal. Dead colony worlds, sterilized populations, decoded communications. Everything Unipark had discovered, and everything they had found since. Dr. Yuna stood beside him. She had asked to be there for this moment. She had earned that right. General Kang was at the Military Command Center, ready to give the attack order. Captain Hannah Lee was on the bridge of her warship, the Horizon, leading the first assault fleet. Commander Woo Seok was in the asteroid belt, waiting with 10,000 ships hidden in the dark. Everyone was in position. Everyone was waiting for the Admiral to speak. In the Great Hall, the alien delegates finished their speeches. The Velthan representative talked about new trade routes. The Morthok representative talked about scientific discoveries. The Kristen representative talked about peace and cooperation. Minister Yoon listened to every word. She remembered every lie. Finally, the council chairman, a tall Velthan with silver skin, turned to face the human section. "And now," he said, "we will hear from our youngest members. Minister Yoon, please give humanity's address." Minister Yoon stood up. She walked to the central platform. Every eye in the Great Hall watched her. She smiled. "Thank you, Chairman," she said. "But today the address will not come from me." The aliens looked confused. This was not the normal procedure. "Today," Minister Yoon continued, "you will hear from Admiral Tae Soon-jo, Supreme Commander of Earth's military forces. He has a message for the Galactic Council." Before anyone could object, the massive screens in the Great Hall flickered. Admiral Tae's face appeared. Behind him, the evidence of betrayal was visible to every delegate. At the same moment, the Admiral's broadcast went out to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Every screen, every communication device, every public display showed his face. Trillions of beings across thousands of planets stopped what they were doing and watched Admiral Tae spoke. His voice was calm to calm. "For 60 years, we called you friends. We came to you with open hands and open hearts. We shared our art, our music, our dreams of the future. We trusted you. We believed that the galaxy was a community of equals, where all species could grow and prosper together." He paused. The silence in the Great Hall was absolute. "We were wrong." The Admiral gestured to the screens behind him. Images of decoded messages appeared. Charts showing population decline, Medical reports showing the effects of alien medicine on human DNA. We found your communications. We decoded your secrets. We know about the atmospheric processors that you installed on our colony worlds. Processors that were supposed to help us breathe. Instead, they were slowly poisoning our ability to have children. The alien delegates began to murmur. Some looked nervous. Others looked angry. None denied it. We know about the medicine you gave us during the fever outbreak. Medicine that saved our lives while destroying our future. We know about the genetic modifications hidden in your gifts. We know that you calculated exactly how long it would take to make us extinct. Admiral Tay leaned forward. His eyes were hard as stone. He smiled at us while poisoning our children. You called us friends while planning our death. You invited us into your council so you could watch us die slowly, peacefully, without ever knowing we had been murdered. In the Great Hall, Minister Yoon watched the alien faces. She saw fear. She saw guilt. She saw exactly what she had expected to see. You made one mistake, the Admiral continued. You assumed that because we were peaceful, we were weak. You assumed that because we trusted you, we were stupid. You assumed that we would never discover what you had done. He stood up straight. Behind him, images of Earth's secret fleet appeared. Ships, weapons, soldiers, 10,000 warships hidden in the asteroid belt. Millions of troops trained and ready for war. You were wrong about us. You were wrong about everything. The Admiral's voice grew harder. So hear this Galactic Council. This is Earth's final diplomatic communication. As of this moment, humanity withdraws from the Council. As of this moment, humanity declares war on every species that voted for our extinction. Chaos erupted in the Great Hall. Delegates shouted. Guards reached for weapons. But Minister Yoon did not move. She stood on the central platform, smiling. You had 60 years to kill us quietly, Admiral Tay said. We are giving you 60 hours to prepare. After that, we will not negotiate. We will not accept surrender. We will not show mercy. He leaned closer to the camera. You wanted to know what humans do when someone threatens our children. You are about to find out. The transmission ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every light in the Great Hall flickered. Every alien communication device went dead. Every ship in the Council fleet lost contact with command. Human cyber weapons, developed in secret for 2 years, had just disabled the entire Council communication network. Minister Yoon walked toward the exit. Alien guards moved to stop her, but she held up her diplomatic pass. I have immunity, she said sweetly. You cannot touch me for another 60 hours. She walked out of the Great Hall without looking back. In the asteroid belt, Commander Wu gave the order. 10,000 warships emerged from their hiding places. They moved toward their targets in perfect formation. In Earth's orbit, Captain Hannah Lee activated her ship's weapons. The Horizon was the first of Earth's new warships, was ugly and brutal and filled with weapons that the galaxy had never seen. All ships, Hannah said, begin the attack. Across the galaxy, on 47 different worlds, human missiles struck alien military installations. Shipyards exploded. Defense stations went dark. Communications towers fell. The war had begun. Back on Earth, Admiral Tay turned off the broadcast equipment. Dr. Unipark stood beside him, tears running down her face. Is this really the only way? She asked. The Admiral looked at her. For a moment, she saw something in his eyes. Sadness. Regret. Pain. Then it was gone. They gave us no choice, he said. They decided to destroy us. All we did was refuse to die. He walked to the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, human soldiers were fighting and dying to save their species. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was learning that humanity was not livestock to be slaughtered. May history forgive us, the Admiral whispered, because we cannot forgive ourselves. The first day of the human galactic war had begun. Nothing in the universe would ever be the same. The galaxy had known peace for 10,000 years. The Council species had forgotten what real war looked like. They had small conflicts, border disputes, economic disagreements, but they had never faced an enemy that wanted to destroy them completely. They had never faced humanity. The first 6 months of the war changed everything. The galaxy believed about combat. Captain Hannah Lee led the assault on Nexus Prime, the Council's main military headquarters. It was supposed to be impossible to attack. The station had shields that could stop asteroids. It had weapons that could destroy entire fleets. It was defended by 5,000 warships from 6 different species. Hannah attacked it with 200 ships. The alien commanders laughed, and they saw the human fleet approaching. 200 against 5,000? Humans were committing suicide? Then the battle began. Human ships did not fight like alien ships. Alien captains valued their lives. They retreated when damaged. They surrendered when defeated. They followed rules of engagement that had been agreed upon centuries ago. Humans followed no rules. Hannah's ships charged directly into the alien formation. They did not slow down. They did not take defensive positions. They flew straight at the enemy and started shooting. The alien commanders did not understand. This was not strategy. This was madness. But it worked. Human ships were smaller and faster. Human pilots were trained to fight in conditions that would kill most alien species. Human weapons were crude but powerful, and human crews did not retreat. Even when their ships were burning. Even when they knew they would die, the alien fleet broke apart in confusion. They had expected the humans to be careful, to be cautious. Instead, the humans were everywhere at once, attacking from every direction, refusing to stop even when they were clearly outmatched. Nexus Prime fell in 72 hours. 3/4 of the alien fleet was destroyed. Captain Hannah Lee lost 60 ships. She considered it an acceptable trade. Across the galaxy, the news spread. The humans had done the impossible. They had attacked the Council's strongest position and won. Fear began to grow. Commander Wu, COK, led a different kind of war. He did not attack military targets. He attacked infrastructure, food production facilities, power generators, water treatment plants, communication networks. The Council wanted to starve us slowly, he told his officers. We will return the favor quickly. His black operations fleet struck without warning. They appeared, destroyed their targets, and vanished before anyone could respond. Within 3 months, 12 Council worlds were facing food shortages. Within 6 months, entire regions lost power for weeks at a time. The Council species had never experienced this kind of warfare. They had always had enough food. They had always had electricity. They had always been comfortable. Now they were learning what it felt like to be afraid. On Earth, Lieutenant Nari Cho's weakness index proved invaluable. Human commanders knew exactly how to fight each species. Against the Velthan, they used red light to blind them. Against the Morthok, they pumped extra oxygen into captured ships. Against the Kristen, they used sonic weapons that shattered their crystalline bodies. The aliens called it cheating. Humans called it survival. General Kong Day-1 coordinated the overall war effort from Earth. He worked 20-hour days. He slept in his office. He watched casualty reports come in every morning and attack plans go out every night. One day, an aide asked him how he could send so many soldiers to their deaths. Kong's answer was simple. Every soldier who dies fighting today saves 1,000 children who will be born tomorrow. The Council wanted to end our future. Our soldiers are buying that future with their blood. The alien species began to understand something terrible. Humans did not fight like other races. Humans fought like they had nothing to lose. Because they didn't. A Velthan general captured a human prisoner and asked him why humans kept attacking even when they were outnumbered. The human smiled and said, "You were going to kill us anyway. At least this way, we get to hurt you back." The Velthan general had the human executed, but he could not forget those words. 6 months into the war, 3 Council species secretly contacted Earth. They wanted peace. They were willing to abandon the Council and become neutral. They were willing to share technology and resources. They just wanted the war to stop. Admiral Tay received their offer. He thought about it for exactly 1 minute. Then he refused. Every species on the Council voted to exterminate us, he told their ambassadors. Every species knew what was happening. Every species did nothing. There will be no separate peace. There will be no mercy for some and punishment for others. You all decided together. You will all pay together. The ambassadors left in fear. They had hoped that humanity could be reasonable. They had hoped that enough death would satisfy human anger. They were wrong. Dr. Unipark watched the war from Earth. She had become Admiral Tay's advisor, helping decode alien communications and predict enemy movements. But she could not escape what she had started. Every night she looked at the casualty reports, human names, thousands of them, young men and women who had died fighting a war that she had discovered. She knew it was not her fault. She had only found the truth, but the guilt never went away. One night, Admiral Tay found her crying in her office. "I keep thinking about the children," she said. "The children who were never born because of what the Council did. And the soldiers who are dying now because of what I found." The Admiral sat down beside her. "Do you wish you had never found it?" he asked. Wayune thought for a long time. "No," she finally said. "I wish they had never done it. But if they had to do it, then I'm glad we found out." "I'm glad we're fighting back?" "So am I," the Admiral said. "So is everyone. The galaxy thought we would die quietly. We are proving them wrong. That matters, Yuna. Whatever happens next, that matters." By the end of the 6th month, the Council's military strength had been cut in half. Human fleets controlled 3 major trade routes. 12 alien worlds were under human occupation. The Council was losing, and they knew it. But the humans were not finished. Admiral Tay called a meeting of his commanders. Captain Hannah Lee attended via video from her flagship. Commander Wu appeared from somewhere in the outer systems. General Kang sat beside the Admiral, looking older than his years. "The Council is weakening," Admiral Tay said. "But they are not defeated. They still have resources. They still have ships. They still have the belief that they can wait us out." He looked at each commander in turn. "We need to end this. Not in 10 years, not in 5. We need to end this now. Before they can rebuild, before they can adapt, before they can find a way to stop us." Captain Hannah nodded. "What are your orders?" The Admiral pulled up a map of the galaxy. At the center was a bright dot marking the Council's capital system. "We take the heart," he said. "Take their capital. We destroy their government. End the Galactic Council forever." The commanders looked at each other. It was the most ambitious military operation in human history. It would require everything they had. "How long?" Commander Wu asked. Admiral Tay smiled. It was not a kind smile. 6 months, he said. "In 6 months, I want to stand on the Council's capital world. I want to look their leaders in the eye, and I want to tell them that they should have left humanity alone." The final phase of the war was about to begin. 5 years after the war began, Admiral Tay Sungo stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the Council's capital world grow larger on the view screen. The planet was called Harmony. It was supposed to represent everything the Council believed in: peace, cooperation, the unity of all species. Now it was surrounded by human warships. The final battle had been brutal. The Council had gathered every ship they had left for a last defense of their homeworld. 3,000 warships against 4,000 human vessels. The battle lasted 2 days. When it ended, the Council fleet was destroyed. Human casualties were high, but humanity had won. Dr. Yuna Park stood beside the Admiral. She had traveled with him for the final campaign. She wanted to see how the story ended. She needed to see it. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported. "The Council leadership wants to negotiate." Admiral Tay did not respond immediately. He looked at the planet below. Billions of aliens lived there. Families, children, innocent people who had never voted for humanity's destruction, but would suffer because of those who had. For a moment, Yuna saw doubt in his eyes. Then it was gone. "I'll meet them on the surface," the Admiral said. "Alone," General Kong protested. "It could be a trap. Let me send soldiers with you, no?" The Admiral's voice was firm. "This began with words. It will end with words. Whatever happens after, the galaxy must see that we gave them a chance to face us honestly." He looked at Yuna. "Come with me. You found the truth. You should be there when we deliver the consequences." They took a small shuttle down to the planet's surface. Captain Hannah Lee's ships provided escort, but no one attacked. The Council was beaten. They knew it. The Council's great chamber was empty, except for 12 figures. The leaders of each species that had voted for humanity's extinction, they sat at a curved table, looking small and old and afraid. 5 years ago, they had ruled the galaxy. Now, they were waiting to learn their fate. Admiral Tay walked into the chamber with Yuna at his side. He did not sit. He stood before them, a single human facing the rulers of 1,000 worlds. "You wanted to negotiate," he said. "Speak." The Velthan leader, the same chairman who had hosted the Great Hall 60 years ago, leaned forward. His silver skin had turned gray with age and stress. "We offer unconditional surrender," he said. "We will accept any terms you demand. We will pay any price. We only ask that you stop the killing." Admiral Tay was silent for a long moment. "Unconditional surrender," he repeated. "You offer this now when you have nothing left. 5 years ago, when you had fleets and stations and power, you offered us poison. You offered us death disguised as friendship." He stepped closer to the table. 60 years ago, when we first came to you, we offered you everything we had. Our knowledge, our culture, our trust. We asked only to be part of your community, to learn from you, to grow with you." His voice grew harder. "You decided to kill us. Not because we threatened you, not because we attacked you. You decided to kill us because we might threaten you someday. You murdered our future because you were afraid of what we might become." Kristen leader spoke, his voice like breaking glass. "We were wrong. We know that now. Humanity has proven itself. You are strong. You deserve to live. We always deserve to live," Yuna said. Her voice surprised everyone, including herself. "Every species deserves to live. That's what we believed. That's why we trusted you." She stepped forward, standing beside the Admiral. "You didn't just try to kill us. You broke something. You broke our faith in the universe. We wanted to believe that intelligent beings could work together. We wanted to believe that the stars were full of friends we hadn't met yet. You took that away from us?" The Morthok leader lowered his heavy head. "What do you want from us?" Admiral Tay looked at each leader in turn. He saw fear in their eyes. He saw guilt. He saw creatures who had made a terrible decision and were now facing terrible consequences. Part of him wanted to destroy them. Part of him wanted revenge for every human who had died, for every child who had never been born, for every dream that had been poisoned. But that part of him was not the only part. "The Galactic Council is dissolved," he said. "Permanently. You will never again have a unified government. You will never again have the power to decide if a species lives or dies." The leaders nodded. They had expected this. "Each species will be judged individually," the Admiral continued. "Those who were most responsible will face the harshest penalties. Those who tried to stop the extermination will be treated with more mercy. And our people?" The Velthan chairman asked. "The civilians who knew nothing, they will not be harmed." Admiral Tay's voice softened slightly. "We are not you. We do not punish children for the sins of their leaders. Your people will live. But they will live knowing what their government did. They will live with the shame of it forever." He turned to leave, then stopped. "There will be a new order in this galaxy. We are calling it the Terran Compact. It will be based on one simple rule. Every species has the right to exist. Any species that threatens another will face the same fate you have faced. No exceptions. No negotiations. No mercy." The Admiral walked out of the chamber. Yuna followed him. Outside, the sun was setting on Harmony. Orange light filled the sky. In another time, it would have been beautiful. Now it just looked like fire. "Is it over?" Yuna asked. Admiral Tay looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, human ships were maintaining order. Human soldiers were accepting surrenders. Human engineers were beginning the long work of rebuilding. "The war is over," he said. "But what comes after will be harder. We have become something we never wanted to be. Conquerors, rulers, the thing the galaxy feared. We had no choice." "I know." The Admiral's voice was tired. So tired, but knowing that doesn't make it easier. "They made us into this Yuna. We wanted to be explorers. Artists, Dreamers, they made us into killers. He looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. I will never forgive them for what they did to us. Not for the poison, not for the betrayal. For what they forced us to become. 50 years later, the human galactic war was history. Children learned about it in school. Monuments stood on 100 worlds. The Terran Compact had brought peace to the galaxy, enforced by human fleets that patrolled every sector. Admiral Tae Sung Ho was long dead. So was General Kang. So was Commander Wu. They were buried on Earth, in a cemetery reserved for the heroes of the war. Captain Hannah Lee was still alive. She was 93 years old, her hair white and her body frail. But her eyes were still sharp. A young alien historian came to visit her. The historian was Velthan, from a generation born after the war. She wanted to understand what had happened. She wanted to know why. Do you have regrets? The historian asked. Do humans regret what they did? Hannah thought about the question for a long time. She thought about the ships she had destroyed, the lives she had taken, the friends she had lost. She thought about the colonies that had been poisoned and the children who had never been born. We regret that we had to, she finally said. We don't regret that we could. The historian did not understand. What do you mean? Hannah looked out her window. The sky was blue. Birds were singing. Children were playing in the street below. A future that had almost been stolen. The galaxy asked a question, she said. They asked, what makes humanity dangerous? They thought they knew the answer. They thought we were dangerous because we were violent, because we were aggressive, because we evolved on a harsh world. She turned to face the historian. They were wrong. Humanity is dangerous because we love. We love our children. We love our future. We love the people who haven't been born yet. And when someone threatens the people we love, we become something terrible. The historian was silent. Your ancestors tried to take our future away, Hannah continued. They thought we would die quietly. They thought we would accept extinction with a smile. They didn't understand that humans will do anything to protect the ones we love. Anything. She smiled, and for a moment, the historian saw the fierce young captain she had once been. The galaxy should have left us alone. They should have let us grow in peace. We would have been their friends. We would have been their partners. Instead, they made us their nightmare. Hannah closed her eyes. She was tired. She had been tired for a long time. We didn't want to be this, she whispered. But we became what we needed to become. And that is why humanity is still here. That is why our children are still born. That is why we won. The historian left with more questions than answers. But she understood one thing that her ancestors had. Humanity was not dangerous because of what they were. Humanity was dangerous because of what they would do for each other, and the galaxy would never forget it.